everybody. Welcome back to the Gamerpreneur podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Bradford Carlton. Today's episode, we are talking about planning for success. Because you understand that if you don't plan for success, you're planning for failure. Oh, yeah, that's a saying that it is what it is, right? So it's true, though. I mean, ultimately, I guess if I want to I shouldn't hate on that expression too much, because if you're not planning for success, I mean, I end every single one of these episodes with organization is the enemy of sloth, right? So yeah, I'm talking about making sure you have a plan, because to me, that's the thing that matters. At the moment, I'm in the process of working with a client in getting some funding for this client. And the issue with the client getting funding is the client doesn't have a good plan to do anything with the funding. And so when this client is talking to investors, the investors go, so what's your plan? Tell me more. What's this? What's that? And they got all these questions that the client doesn't have answers to. And so the client comes back to me like, well, what do I do? And I'm like, you need to build out your plan, because your investor, these people that you're talking to, in this case, the client, right, are telling my client what is wrong with what this person currently has. And so if I was the client, I would listen to these funders and investors who are giving all this constructive criticism and telling them exactly what they wish they could see and what they want to know and how they are thinking. And I would take all of that and I'd put it into a plan that I could actually then show people, which requires research, requires effort. And this is a topic that I bet I've already lost a good number of my content creators. The funny thing is, this is so important for content creators, because if you want true sponsors, true advertisers working with you, you need a plan. You need to tell them what you're going to do with the money or the product or whatever that you're going to get from them. They're not just going to hand you stuff. That's not how that works. I mean, if you have a track record of doing something, maybe somebody else has already been an advertiser with you and you were able to produce a 3 times or ROI with them and you have the numbers to back it up. Well, obviously someone else may be interested in working with you. The key difference is if you have proof that you have 3 times ROI based on, prior clients, you have a plan. All right. Too many people are like, well, I've reached out to 30 different companies and no one got back to me. And okay. Is that it? You only reached out to 30? Keep reaching. Reach again. Try some more. If they didn't reach back, well, it's either because your email got lost in the void because they're getting tons of emails. You reached out to the wrong person. They didn't care. Maybe you didn't say the right thing and didn't get enough attention. Maybe they took a look at your content and they're like, maybe they just were looking for something that wasn't there and they're waiting for you. I mean, there's so many reasons why investors and advertisers don't want to work with people. And you have to plan for this stuff. You have to let them know that you are a person who understands that this is one big game. Too many people, whether content creators or businesses, brick and mortar businesses, online businesses, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter what you're selling, whether it's lights or bricks. Okay. If you are selling something, which includes yourself as content, don't think dirty. If you're selling anything and you want somebody to help you, you have to have a plan for what that person is going to do. Okay. It doesn't have to be a complicated plan. I had a client, his name was David. David came to me a little over a year ago, and he said, "Hey, Brad, I need money. Can you get me money?" And I said, "There's no way I can get you that much money because that's too small. You need to be going for bigger dollars." And so I told him he needs to write a plan. And so what he did is I gave him a template, and there wasn't even anything on the template. There was headings on the template. It was completely blank. It was just Latin gibberish, and some stock images on this template. I'm like, here's my template that I base my business plans off of. Here you go. Base yours off of it. Make it look exactly like this if you can. And what he did is he took that template, he took the headings from that template, and he went into a Word document and he just wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote. He wrote like 30 pages. And there were some points he just copied and pasted sections into different sections. And like his grammar was bad. His spelling was atrocious. And like there were sections that were just blank, just whole blank sections he didn't even fill out. And he took this plan and he went and talked to some funders. And within like a week, he had 3 offers to invest in his business. So you don't have to have something that's just like crazy awesome. Stop worrying about that. That's not the important part. The part is the fact that you sat down enough to come up with a plan. It doesn't have to be the greatest plan. The investor will tell you whether they think it's the greatest plan or not. They're like, no, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do that. If you do all these things, yeah, we can move forward. So then you go back and you update your plan to include the things they told you, and then they're like, okay, let's make it happen. Like that's often what I see happening with people looking for funding. They have a plan. And they're like, this is the plan. And they go to a funder and the funder's like, this is a horrible plan. And they come back to me and they're like, this is a horrible plan. I'm like, what did the funder say? And if the funder didn't say anything, well, okay, well, let's take a look at it and see if we can figure it out ourselves. If the funder did say something, okay, well, that's one data point. We may or may not want to adjust what's in the plan based on that. You take it to an underfunder. If 2 people tell you the same thing, now you got kind of a line, right? Because 2 points will give you a line. That's probably enough to let you know that there's some changes needed. So like, it doesn't matter what kind of business you're in. If you're a brick and mortar retail store looking for sponsors, hey guys, brick and retail stores out there, you guys got wall space. All right. You like here in this graphic, right? See this wall space right here? You could have put a logo there. You could have put like Coca-Cola's logo there. And that is worth money, especially if you're able to demonstrate the amount of people that come in per diem, per week, per month, whatever, per annum. How long do they stay? How exposed are they? What kind of soda are you selling at the location as it is? If you're selling Pepsi, Coke's not going to advertise right there. You might be able to get a Pepsi. If Pepsi's sitting there, people look up and see the Pepsi sign, they go, oh, I'm thirsty, I want a Pepsi. They're going to go over to your vending machines, or here's like a bar over here, right? So there has to be some kind of cohesion between what you're asking for and what you're doing. And these are all things that just take some thought. Now, thinking is one of the hardest tasks that anybody is able to do. And that is why thinking jobs are paying jobs. And consider that for a second. Doctors, lawyers, accountants, they all get paid the big bucks, right? The truth is they really don't, but that's beside the point. They're considered the professional, the learned professions. Okay, it's doctors, teachers, lawyers, and bankers, if I call her the learned professions. Bankers can be like the financial people too. That's because you need a degree to do those positions. So they require education, they require study, and at the end of the day, they cost a lot of money because thinking is hard work. Just as an example, to prove kind of the difference of value in thinking versus hard labor, I had a neighbor who, so I was painting my house years ago. I was painting the inside of my house completely. Every single room was getting a new coat of paint. And I did the upstairs and I'm like, geez, this sucks. I really don't want to paint anymore. Well, it just so happened my neighbor across the street knocks on the door and goes, hey, are you willing to like do some like stuff for me, some legal work for me? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. He's like, I don't really have a lot of cash. Is there something I can do instead? And I'm like, this guy does handyman work. You can paint my house for me. So I exchanged services with this guy. Now, I was able to make this set of documents I made some documents for him, and he painted my house. It took me roughly an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours to have the meetings and make the documents, print them out, double check them, have the meeting with him, have the signings, witnesses, the whole thing, right? 2 hours of labor on my part. It took him like 4 days of 8-hour days painting my house to finish this. That's the difference between muscle and brains. So if you are able to use your brains and create a plan, your business can do pretty much whatever it wants. It just has to be a sound plan. How do you have a sound plan? Go find advisors, go find mentors, people who've done these things before. So you don't even have to use your own brains. Go use somebody else's brain and tell you how to do this. It helps if you have cash to exchange for those brands, but I'm just saying you might be able to get someone to work for free for you. It might be able to help have them advise you. Just understand that I'm going to come into my close real quick. Organization is the enemy of sloth. I started that way too, right? Organization is the enemy of sloth. If you are able to do this, if you're able to create a plan for your business, for your brand that can show somebody else that you want to invest in you somehow, whether that's a business partnership, an advertiser, an investor of some type, if you're able to show them that plan, you've set yourself above most people, because most people do it poorly. They don't know what they're doing. They just think that if they just come in there talking slick, talking fast, that's going to get them a sale. It's not. No, people who are money savvy are going to look for money savvy people to do business with. So if you want to prove that you're money savvy, you need a plan. So that's what I got for you all. I already told you the organization and sloth. So don't be just a gamer, be a gamerpreneur.